Hello everyone, this is Chris Fate with Cheat the Game. Today we're taking a look at Inside. This is the PC version of the game. Really great game. This is the one game that has absolutely no voice acting in it whatsoever, but does it ever present such a powerful story. I love this game. But there really are no type of indicators. It's more of a side-scroller puzzle type environment. But there are certain situations that you can get into. I have not been able to locate a stealth as of yet, but if I do, I'll certainly update this to let you know. But for right now, I was wanting to discuss, we're still on the subject of hard to find values. Now, I know there's a lot of pros out there that, you know this stuff inside and out, backwards and forwards. Please also understand that this is for beginner to intermediate. That's what I teach here. But what do you do when there are no bars, when there are no indicators? Usually, as you saw in the past, we had something to let us know that it was almost over, or whatever's going on in it, like to freeze an enemy. You'll have something like a glow to go on, and that glow will get dimmer and dimmer, and you can kind of use that as a bar to go on to find your values. But what if you have absolutely nothing? Well, you got to start thinking outside the box a little bit. So what I'm going to do here, we're towards the beginning of the game, and we're in the water. Now, if we go underwater, just after a certain amount of time, we die. We lose our breath. But what I tried to do to locate infinite breath is I tried several different ways. I tried once to use like an imaginary breath bar, where it's slowly decreasing, and unfortunately, you're just not able to find anything. So I said, well, what if we try to use it and treat it like a timer value instead? And that's where I was able to come into some luck. However, instead of a timer decreasing in value to all the way to 0, we find that it is increasing. If he is underwater up to a certain amount of time, then it triggers a flag and you die. And that's the way you got to look at it. So what we're going to do here is we're going to do an all unknown search, because we don't know what value type it is. We have no idea where it's starting at. So we're going to go ahead and let it do its scan. And what we're going to do, we're going to treat it like a timer value that is increasing. It's incrementing. Now, the longer we stay underwater, it's going from a low number to a high number. And once it reaches that high number, well, it triggers the computer that we have been underwater too long. He's now dead. So that's the basis we're going on. What I have done is I set Cheat Engine to hotkeys and edit settings, and you go over here to hotkeys, and I put increased on up arrow, decreased on down arrow. I also have changed value on the numeric plus, and I have unchanged on numeric minus. These really come in handy when you're having to deal with a time sensitive cheat. Any type of timer values you really want to put on some of these hotkeys, because they'll really help you out. So what we're going to do is we're going to go ahead and submerge ourselves underwater and let time tick up a little bit. And we're just going to pause the game by mashing escape, and we're going to hit increased value. And I'm doing that with my up arrow. And as you see, Cheat Engine is now searching for increased values. And I'll just go ahead and let it do its thing. So always remember that if you're not successful in a way you think it might be, like the breath, I kept thinking there was an imaginary breath bar. It wasn't going down. I wasn't able to find it. A lot of people right then and there would get frustrated. Well, you can also treat things like a timer value. It may be counting off a certain amount of time that you're spending underwater or in a certain room or something like that. So you got to keep those things in mind too. If you're unable to do it via like an imaginary health bar or breath bar or whatever type bar, then try it in a way that is counting time. One of the two is happening. I can guarantee it. Sometimes both are happening. So what we're going to do is we've already done our scan, so let's go back to the game. Let's add a little more time to it, and then we're going to hit increase value again. And I'm just doing that with my hotkeys. And now we can tap unchanged value because we had the game paused. We know that the timer is now stopped. And you see that gets rid of a lot of them. We can just keep getting rid of a few. Now what I want to do is I want to go back and reset my timer And to do that, I need to go back above water. So let's go back to the game. Click on it first. There we go. And let's go back up. Let it go all the way. And just wait at like maybe 2 or 3 seconds for it to reset. And now we're going to hit decrease value. The timer has now went back to its beginning. So decrease value. And we can get rid of any change in values because we know time is not moving because we're above water. And we just keep doing the process over until we weed them down to just a few we can try. So let's go back underwater. And let's hit increase one time. Let's pause it. Now hit increase again. We're down to 3,900. Let's unchange. Very good. Swing them down. Let's go above water, reset time. Let's wait a couple of seconds and now decrease value. Now we can kind of swim a little bit, but not to get caught. And unchanged. That'll really weed it down. Plus, if you can move positions, it'll get rid of any positional codes that may be in there. We're only looking for that timer value. Later in the game, there's something that you can get that gives you infinite breath, and all it does is just set that flag timer to 0 and keep it there. So we're just getting that ahead of time. But something is always indicating when a guy gets killed. If he's lasting a certain amount of time, he's not being attacked or anything like that, then you know it's either some type of a breath bar going down or up, or a timer going down or up. In this case, it happens to be a timer going up. Let's hit unchanged again. Let's go back underwater. Increased. Let's reset time. Now decreased, unchanged. We're down about 558, so we're really weeding them down, and this is with an all. And when you use an all as a value type, and you already have the game attached to Cheat Engine, that is every single code that the game is using. Every one of them. In that particular exe file. So that's why you got so many to weed down. Now, I know I got 6.4 version of Cheat Engine up. However, in the 6.5 and 6.5.1, I do recommend using that instead. I don't know why I accidentally brought up a older one. I like to use 6.4 when I do stealth edit, which I'll show in another tutorial, but since they no longer have the stealth edit plug-in for the newer versions of Cheat Engine, it's just not really worth it. But we'll talk about how to make your own stealth program later, and that's to avoid anti-hacks, but that's another time. But getting back to what we're doing here, I'm getting off track. Let's go ahead and find this, and let's go back underwater, and what we're going to do is increase. It's going down, increase down to 225, increase, go back up, let it set, and then go decreased. Unchanged, okay. Now let's just take a look at what we got. We got 118, so this is a good amount that we can kind of look around with. Now, usually what you'll notice is you'll have the same exact address, but you'll have it for each different individual value type. You got 4 byte, 8 byte, but it's all the same address. So usually what I do is I just try to stick with the floats first, just of the same code. Also, I like zeros. I start from a 0 and it's counting up. That's a possibility. We see that that's the same. So I'm going to use a double, and I'm going to use floats and doubles for timers. That's usually about 98 to 99% of the time where you're going to find the timer values on a float or a double. Usually it's a float. I'm staying away from things like that for the time being. And this will kind of help weed it down a little bit. And I'm just grabbing my zeros. I'm not worrying about 1 byte or 2 byte right now. Just floats and doubles. And then we just start the process of elimination after that. If it does happen to work. Also, you got to be careful doing this method, because if you freeze the wrong value, guess what? Your game's going to crash, and that may still happen. So if it does, I'll just catch back up to where I am now, and we'll go from there. So highlight all of them, then you press the space bar, and it X's every single one of them, which will have Cheat Engine keep writing 0 to these values. Now the game is possibly writing faster than Cheat Engine, but that's okay. Alright, so let's go underwater and see if we lose any breath. Let's see if we die. Usually he does this little kind of a blip thing when he's starting to lose breath. You know, you can see him start trying to gasp, and he's not doing that. Here, I'll show you what it looks like. Let me go back up. So evidently one of these addresses is the correct address, is the internal code for that timer. So I'm going to untick each one, and I'll show you what I mean. And this is also something that happens that you can kind of look for to tell if a code's work or not work. And you'll see right here, watch. You see that? That's when he's losing breath. He does that 3 times, you're dead. So there's always some type of indicator, if you just look carefully. Some type of indicator that'll tell you if you're of what type of value it would be, or if you're locating the correct value. Sometimes it may be a glow effect. Sometimes it may just be the way the character is responding to it, or something like that. But you always want to look for something that's giving some type of indication. Now when we highlight all of these again and X them, and let's go back under, he never does that little blip thing. So we know that we have infinite breath. I'm going to go all the way down here. And you see he never does. So it looks like we have found the timer value that allows us to stay underwater, as long as we have it keep writing 0 to it. So let's pause the game. And what I need to do is I'm just going to uncheck mark, and it's just a process of elimination. I'm going to uncheck mark just a few of them, and that turns them back off, and see if he starts doing that little blip thing. So let's see. Let me get up a little farther just so. That way, if he does not do it, then we know that it's one of the top half. If he does do it, we know it's one of these we turned off. And it looks like he's still okay. So let's just turn them off one at a time. Until we get to the right one. Okay, we turn that one off. No good. We turn that one off. That's counting up. Oh, that was it. Let's get back up there quick. There we go. It was this one right here. It was a double. This address right here, we found it. Very good. So we can get rid of these others. We don't need them. So it was that double right there. Like I say, about 90% of the time you're going to find it on a float or a double. So let's freeze that value and just test it one more time to be sure. And it looks like he does have infinite breath there. He would have done that by now. So while it's doing that, I want to find out what's writing to this address. So we're just going to right click on it, find out what writes to this address, attach the debugger. Alright, we can go ahead and stop it, and you can see here that XMM15 is writing our new time value. So you can see how that's doing that, and it's writing to the registry of RSI at the 104 offset right here. It's possible you could go in there and try to find other values. I'm not going to do that right now until the dissect data. We've done that in other videos. Let's just go ahead and see if we can get a script for it. And if you look back on my channel, I did go into how to write scripts for doubles. They are very different in doing so. So what I want to do is let me save what I got, and I'll be right back with you. Okay, where was I? Let's go ahead and show that in the disassembler here. Here's the address. This is what's writing the new time. XMM15 is bringing in the new time. We see here the XMMO that's doing the, it looks like it's converting a float to a double, and I really don't understand how that works yet, but I'm still learning that part, so stick with me on that. But I want to try another method right here. We see that the XMM15 is writing the new value, and it's counting up each time and writing that to the 104 offset in the RSI registry. Well, what if I have a different XMM registry write to that address instead? So what we want to do, and we want to see which XMM registry right now we could use that actually just has 0 in it. And that's what we're looking for. So I want to go ahead and toggle breakpoint, and we'll get new breakpoint instructions. The game will stop. You see it's froze right here. And what we want to do is, this is our stack that's being used. Here is our RSI right here, and our 104 offset. Here's some trace information also as well. But what we can do is we click on this little arrow right here. Let's see what's going on in the XMM registries right here. Let's look down, and you see that when XMM15 is trying to write the new value, but we have Cheat Engine putting 0 back into it, so it's kind of they're kind of fighting with each other. But we see these other XMM registries just carrying 0. They just have 0. Nothing's going on in them. So we could possibly use any one of these right here. Let's just see if that works. Let's try to use XMM14 here instead of 15 and just see what happens. Let me untoggle that, and we want to run our game again. You can F9 it, or just go to here to debug and run. That'll run the game again. And let's just check on our code right here. And what would happen if we just changed that to XMM14? What bytes do those change if it does that? Let's look. Here's our new byte structure. So what I want to do is I want to copy that to clipboard, and I'm just going to do bytes and the modular address. I'm just going to copy that to my notepad just briefly. Let's go cut this code off and see if that affects anything. As you see, it's staying 0 all the time. So we could possibly just go ahead and change the byte structure to XMM14, where XMM14 is writing that 0 all the time to that address instead of XMM15. So all we really need to do is change the byte structure. So let me carry my guy back up here, and I'm going to pause the game. Let's change that back to 15. Just like this. And click OK. And what I want to do is I want to copy those bytes as well. And I only need the bytes for that one. This is the normal code. This is the new code that gives us, this is the new array of bytes that gives us infinite breadth. Here is the old code that does not. And let's go ahead and separate those on out. And you could possibly just go knock that out too, but I'm just trying it a different way. There's so many ways you can do these things. None of these are written in stone. Let's just go take a look and see what changes. And you can see here B6 goes to BE. We need to change this offset, or excuse me, this byte to BE. And we have infinite breadth. That's it. So that's what we're going to do. We're going to go up here to our tools, auto assemble, and I'm just going to go ahead with AOB injection, but I'm not really doing an AOB injection. But I do want an array of bytes. I do want to do an array of bytes scan. So what I'm going to do here is I'm going to put breath 1. That's just what I'm naming it. Just that's for my benefit to know what that particular code is doing. And here's our array of bytes that we have right here. And you see here that it does find it okay with that specific array of bytes. It's not using an AOB scan module because we don't have a module. It's just an address. So we need to use the array of bytes. So that is a must. We can get rid of all this other stuff right here. We do not need it. And we can keep that right there. We can also keep unregistered symbol, but we can get rid of deallocate because we're not allocating any memory. We can get rid of all this mess here. And what we're going to do is we're going to go ahead and I shouldn't have got rid of that register symbol breath 1. Let's go ahead and put that back. Register symbol breath 1, and then I just want one for my script. This is the new allocated memory. It's possible I could probably just do it like that, but I want, since we got to go beyond that F3, I'm going to use a different label for that as well. So I'm going to put a label, and we're just going to put time. This is for our time, and that's all I'm going to call it. Okay, so let me explain this, and I've explained this in the past, but I will explain it again. It's doing an AOB scan, and it's scanning for these array of bytes. So it goes down and finds it here. This is the unique signature it found, and it's going to start right here at that F3. Let's go look at it in the bottom section of what the computer is actually seeing. So let's go down here, go to address, paste that in there. Let's move this out of the way. And it's starting right here. And it's calling that F3, it's calling that breath 1. Okay? That's what it's calling. But we don't need that F3 changed. We need it to go over 1, 2, 3, 4 to this BE. We need it to go to that BE, and we're going to call that BE time. It's calling this breath 1, and it's going to call this time. Okay? And we needed to change that. You remember what we needed to change it to? That's why we did our notes. We need it to change to B6. That is our infinite error. So all we need to do, we want it to start at breath 1. Okay? And that's breath 1. And we need it to go 1, 2, 3, 4. And this has to be in hex, but 4 in hex, or excuse me, 4 in decimal is also 4 in hex, so we need to go plus 4 to that byte. We're going to call that byte time, and we just need to define byte B6. That's it. That's all we need it to do. And all we really need to do from here is just change that to time. It recognizes that byte as being time because it has that right there, or this right here, F3 plus 4. And so it already knows that BE is time, and we just need it when we turn it off to change it back to BE, like that. And that's all you need to do. Let's just go see if it works. Let's just take a look at everything, make sure we got everything labeled correctly, and we're going to add that to the current cheat table. Let's go ahead and label it, and we're going to put infinite breath underwater. Let's save our work, save as. Now first I want to go under and make sure that it is working properly, that we are going to lose breath, and I'm going to let it go ahead and kill me. Because where it really comes into play is if it finds that location after everything's already changed. And you see him doing that little blip thing, and now the game, I just died. So now what I'm going to do is when it reloads back up, Alright, we're back, and I'm going to go ahead and let's turn our code on. It might take it a minute to find it because it's doing an AOB scan, and it did, and it turned it on. Let's go back here and check, and you see here it's changed that to B6 and to XMM 14. If I turn it back off, let's turn it back off. It didn't turn it back to XMM 15, but it should. Okay, I'm just going to interrupt myself for just a second. Sorry about that. Now, under normal circumstances, this code would work. Basically, this, like I said before, this is being counted breath 1, and then I got a +4, so it's counting 4 over. 1, 2, 3, 4 to this BE, and then we're calling that location time, and we're just changing that byte by declaring a new byte B6. And to turn it off, all we needed to do was just use time and declare that byte back to BE. However, maybe because it's a double, I'm not really sure, this does not change it back to BE. So in order for it to change it back, what I'm going to do is I'm going to have it change all of them back, and I'm just going to name that breath 1. So it starts at that F3. And when you change it to, and this is just an alternate method that does work, and it also restores that byte that we just changed, and it just writes all these bytes back the way they were, and this will restore the code back to normal. It may be because it's a double value, I'm not really sure, but just doing it the other way was not working. So, and I'm going to go ahead and give you back to myself. Yeah, and these are the kind of things you are going to run into from time to time, and I really don't get why it isn't changing that back, but we can do it the alternate way by restoring all the bytes and put it as breath 1, starting at F3 and just changing everything, and then it changes it back to BE in that fashion. I don't know why it doesn't do it the other way. Let me put that back. So when we go to memory view, let's take a look at it. You see it XMM 15. We click it on. It takes just a few moments to do the scan, and you see it's changed to XMM 14, changed our bytes, and when we go to turn it off, it changes it back to XMM 15. So, you know, sometimes you have to do it a little bit different. Maybe it's because it's a double. Doubles are very, very finicky, as you've seen in our past video on when I show you how to write scripts for doubles and floats. You got to really handle them differently. But that's basically it, and as you see with that code on, we can go underwater. We do not die. We can just travel underwater all day long, even at the beginning of the game, and we can go find all the secrets and stuff like that, which that's where I'm headed to now. But that's basically it. You guys please come over to our Facebook channel page. It is Cheat the Game at Facebook channel. We got a lot of great people that hang out there, a lot of great game hackers. Sneaky Mofo right here, he hangs out there too sometimes. And if you have any questions, comments, please come over to the Facebook page. You can find tons of great game hackers here that can really help you out. We got a lot of great guys here, and they really know their stuff. So please come over here and join us. Also, join my friends over at guidedhacking.com. That's guidedhacking.com. They go over C#, C++, IDA Pro, all the way into advanced techniques and reverse engineering. Those guys are really great. They know their stuff also. Go check those guys out. Also, come see my friend Bonomi and Ken. They both have different YouTube channels up. I'll leave the links for you down there in the description. Bonomi, he is an expert at hacking Android games. My friend Ken, he's an expert at hacking Facebook games and store apps on the computer. So make sure to check them out if you have questions in regards to those two areas. Those are the guys to hit up for your questions. They also hang out here at the Cheat the Game Facebook channel, and we're more than happy to welcome you in as well. If you have questions, you'll probably get a quicker response over here than you ever would on YouTube. It's hard for me to bounce everybody around on YouTube. But come over here and join us if you get the chance to. We'd love to have you. Alright, I'm out of here. You guys take care. Keep on hacking. Most importantly, please enjoy yourself. That's really what it's all about. You cheat the game, fellas, because believe me, it doesn't mind cheating you. You guys take care. I'm out of here. All day long. Look at that.